We're gonna rank every card from Triumphant Light that is worth ranking based on its current impact and success in the metagame. Starting off with Adaman. Now he's pretty bad, pretty garbage, but he's still played in one of the best decks in the game and one of the most successful decks in the game currently, which is Dialga Arceus. So I can't quite put him in the F tier, right? Because yeah, of that simple fact. But there's also this fact of, yeah, he's just not good. Like, even in the deck where he would shine the most, which is together with Dialga, his impact there is still very, very mediocre, very, very low. But yeah, as I said, I can't put him in F because he's played in that deck, so that's why he's in D tier. Next up is Shaman. This is falls kinda into the same category as Adaman. It's also very, very mediocre and quite bad. It serves as a permanent X speed, which on the surface sounds pretty amazing, but it will also give up a price and is just a bench warmer, you know? And sometimes you end up with having to start with Shaman as it is a basic Pokemon. So yeah, not too good overall, but it is still better than Adaman and is also played in this Dialga deck. So again, this is not F tier. I won't put it in D either because it's better than Adaman, so it doesn't deserve the same tier as him, and that's why I will put Shaman into our C tier right here. And then we have Sudowoodo. That's a fighting type, so he requires a fighting type energy, and he's very, very reliant on your opponent having that EX Pokemon in play for him to do anything. If your opponent doesn't start with that EX Pokemon, Sudowoodo immediately becomes completely useless. So he's a card that has very high highs and very low lows. It is more likely in the current metagame that your opponent actually starts with an EX Pokemon, which makes him viable at least, because yeah, most of the times he will get his impact. But again, if he doesn't, then he's completely garbage, you know. He is played in the Rampardos deck, which is very, very successful. It's even more successful than the Dialga deck list. And that's what kinda saves the day here for him. And he's very, very important for that deck as he's the only starter, you know. So yeah, he has a lot of upsides and also very hard downsides though. That's why I cannot put him in S or A. But yeah, he's better than Shaman and Adaman for sure, no question about it at all. And that's why he is one tier higher than those and deserves the B tier. Moving on to Rotom. Now, Rotom is a little bit of a bummer actually, because it's a pretty good card. It's a hit and run sniper, you know, and he can be slotted into every single deck. The problem with this card is he's currently only slotted into Arceus and Carnivine, and that deck is not too successful, you know. Because yeah, if you look at other Arceus decks like that Dialga for example, then yeah, that is way more successful, and you would always play this over the deck list that would include the Rotom. So while on the surface he's a pretty good card, he just doesn't see any play pretty much. He's there, that's why I put him on this list, but yeah, his impact on the meta is like very, very low, you know. He's still a better card than Adaman though. But again, Adaman is at least played in one of the best decks, like top 5, which Rotom isn't. But Rotom is a better card than Adaman. So yeah, I will put both of these two into the same tier for the reasons that I just mentioned. Heatran is up next, and yeah, I mean, I don't think I need to explain too much here. Heatran was in the metagame. People thought this is going to be a good deck. I told them you will never play this. If you ever play fire, then the fire energy, you will always default to Charizard. That is just what it is, and Heatran won't change that. But people didn't believe me for some reason and still played the Heatran, and Heatran is now completely gone. He's nowhere to be seen, and if you play the fire energy, you play the Charizard, surprise surprise. And yeah, since Heatran was in the meta, I have to put him here somewhere, right? But this is clear F tier. Like, I will put him even lower. He barely even made this list. Went on to the aforementioned Karnevine. Now this is a pretty good deck. If you combine it with Arceus, and Karnevine is the star of this deck. He is the reason why you would play that Arceus, you know. But yeah, for now, Dialga and stuff sees more success than this. So yeah, if you would ever pair Arceus with anything, then right now it is that Dialga, and that makes Karnevine kind of irrelevant. It falls into the same category as Rotom. While he's a pretty good card, he just doesn't see the success that he would deserve, right? He's still better than the Rotom because he's the star of the deck that he is played in, so he deserves a higher ranking than Rotom, but not much higher, because his success is just doesn't is just not there enough to put him any higher. So that's why he's in C tier. Now we are moving on to Leafeon, which will for most people probably be my first hot take. So yeah, this deck was always completely garbage to begin with. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, no matter how you spin it, right? And what happened to this deck is it was played with water energy, making use of that Irida, and was played with Celebi. It was like the star of this deck, so to speak, because it made that deck in a lot of eyes viable, but yeah, it was never any good, right? And mark my words, Leafeon already suffers the same fate that Dialga will suffer in the future, and more and more people will realize how bad this deck actually is. And Leafeon doesn't see any success whatsoever anymore. It's nowhere in the top 10 in any tournament, no matter what tournament you will ever look at. There will not be a Leafeon EX in the top 10, right? And if so, then that comes at a huge surprise. So the success of this deck is so low, you could make an argument and say this deck is completely dead, and people finally realized how trash and unplayable this deck is. And Dialga will follow in the footsteps. It's just a matter of time, mark my words. So that's why I put Leafeon EX into the F tier. It is better than Heatran, don't get me wrong, right? Leafeon EX is better than Heatran, but not an entire tier. Crobat is next, and yeah, this falls into the same category as Heatran. It was there, it saw some play, and people realized really fast that this is just completely unplayable trash, as there's no reason to ever play Crobat in a game where Greninja exists. This card came out and was already 100% completely outclassed in what it does. It does 30 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon if you have that Arceus in play, which Greninja doesn't rely on having that Arceus, and it can deal its 20 damage wherever it wants, and that is just multiple universes better than Crobat. So this card is completely irrelevant right now. It saw some play, though people did not believe, so whatever, it was there, it is now gone, same as Heatran, and it's outclassed unplayable garbage, and that's why it also belongs into the F tier. And we have Arceus. I didn't look at any other tier lists out there, because why would I, you know? But I would just take a wild guess and say that every single tier list that you see from anyone out there would put this into the S tier immediately and not even ask any questions. And I couldn't disagree with this more. And if that is actually the case, then yeah, I couldn't disagree more with this statement, because Arceus is extremely overrated. It isn't even the most successful deck in the game, no matter with whatever you pair it. The main pairing, and if you pair it with Dialga, then you play a deck that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever and is really bad. I know it sees success. It is like top 5, right? It barely ever wins anything. Every time there is a tournament that you could take slightly serious, Dialga and Arceus never win this, right? But they are kind of consistent, and they always make top 2, top 3, they're always in the top 5, you know, and that's why they deserve a high ranking. But they're not the best deck in the game, and they're highly overrated, so they don't deserve the S tier at all. But I have to put them in A because of the amount of success and consistency that Arceus sees if you pair it with Dialga. But again, this deck will fall off. It barely ever wins anything that could be taken slightly serious, you know. And more and more people will realize that one takes a little while, but it will happen. I hope, at least. Well, there you go. Yeah, that's why Arceus doesn't deserve the S tier at all. That's clear. But the success that it sees has me to put it in A. And now on to what is by far the best card that we got from Triumphant Light, and this shouldn't come to any surprise to anyone, and it's Irida. It makes decks viable, it makes decks better, and it elevates a cheese niche deck to the very top of the meta, and it is even the reason why decks either add the water energy to their disposal on top of the energy that they actually need, just so they can use Irida, or they even completely ditch the energy that they need. Like Leafeon EX is the prime example here. That deck doesn't play, or didn't play, the grass energy, but instead it played the water energy, and there were even deck lists out there that did so with only one copy of Irida in their deck. So that should tell you how good Irida is. This is a card that elevates decks and that makes decks viable. It opens up whole new ways to play decks, because you can always just add the water energy, right? See the cards that need very, very low amount of energy attachment, like an Executor. That's a very, very good example, the best example in my opinion. If you play the Executor, he only needs 1 grass energy, and you can just that leads to you being able to also play the water energy, because you will always find that 1 grass energy to attach to Executor, and then you can add a water energy to that Executor as well, to not only be able to heal it with Erika, which hits 50, you are now also able to heal him with Irida, which it's another 40, you know? It's absolutely incredible. So Executor and Celebi are very, very good examples, because same for Celebi, right? It only needs that 1 grass energy to do its job, and then you can add on water energy to this thing and you still get the coin flips, right? So, and you can heal it with Irida, which is 40. And I could keep talking about it, you know, like Palkia and Articuno, the cheese deck, is like on top of the meta. It's number 1 or number 2, yeah, depending on how you want to look at it. And the whole reason why that is Irida, because the only problem with these decks before were that if you don't hit that Misty heads, if you don't hit the heads with the Misty, you are a little bit on the slower side of things, and you could eat substantial damage before you are able to do anything. But and that was a huge problem, of course, because you lose the tempo advantage. But Irida makes more than up for this. Now, if you take this substantial damage before you are able to do anything, you can heal it off. And that was never the case before. And yeah, those are reasons, there are many reasons why Irida is absolutely fantastic and by far the best card that we got from Triumphant Light. And that's it. We did it. That's my tier list. Let me know in the comments how pissed you got. I'm just kidding, right? But if you like Pokemon TCG Pocket content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until next time, take care of yourselves, have a great day, and bye bye.